All right, and now we have a complete unit. I want you to feel that.
Wow.
That surprise you?
Very much so.
Yeah. It looks like there's no way it can be that
like
light.
7-8 pounds. That's amazing. Yeah. Phenomenal, smooth, quiet, much quieter than the old prop. Definitely would do this and recommend this to anybody to make this change.
Hey, Larry Mednick coming to you from E-Props today. We are the U.S. importer for E-Props. And excuse my nose, I got a little close, too close to the last install, I guess. Actually, my dog got me. But what we've got here today is a RV12, and we've got the prop that goes with it, including that central pitot tube that comes right through the whole assembly. And we're going to go ahead and unbox this, install it, and test it out.
Hey, good morning. My name is Brian. This is a 2015 RV12 ELSA that my dad and I built over about a 1.5-year time frame. 800 hours approximately total time, and just looking at getting the new 3-blade E-prop installed. We talked about better climb performance, cruise performance overall. Like I said, 800 hours is prop's starting to show its age, so we're just looking to upgrade and make the plane almost better than new.
Very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, so I can see we've got a little bit of wear here, which is pretty typical with a painted propeller. If you've had any kind of rain or grass, that'll really take the finish off. But one of the things I'm hoping to improve here is going to be the startup and the shutdown. These heavier 2-blade props can be very abrupt when you shut the motor off, and also trying to start on a cold engine in particular. You can really beat up the gearboxes and the sprag clutches. So these propellers, great hardy propeller. They are not dynamically balanced from the factory. They're statically balanced, which means that some of them are smoother, some of them are not as smooth. And so if you haven't had this dynamically balanced, the new E-props from the factory is going to be dynamically balanced. It's going to be a fraction of the weight, and that's all going to equate. Of course, the extra blade is going to make a huge difference in smoothing out everything.
They always do such a beautiful job of packaging this.
Yeah.
Especially coming all the way from France.
I've watched their assembly video, how they put it together.
So we've got our pitot, we've got our digital protractor for setting the propeller, we've got our blade covers, and we've got our prop blades. Now these prop blades are a titanium leading edge, and they are a raw carbon fiber finish. And one of the nice things about them not being painted is that you can run these in the rain, and I've done it, and no problem at all. You're never really going to have any, of course you can have nicks in the propeller or something like that, but you're never going to have any of those finish problems that you saw on a painted propeller, not from rain or grass or debris. So just really a beautiful, beautiful prop. And you'll notice that these are all going to be color coded. This is our yellow blade. I suspect we're going to have a red blade and probably a green blade in here. Let's take a look. So there's our green, and here is our red blade. Oh, blue blade, made a liar out of me. So those are the colors we're working with today, and these are going to correspond to the hub. And very, very important, this prop has been completely balanced at the factory. It's very important that not only the blades go back in the correct orientation, but also the hub, which can go in different directions, is all color coded, so it goes exactly back together the way it was tested at the factory. Work of art. Yeah, they do a nice job with the composite there.
So this is where we've got it screwed right there.
See a balancing weight. They balanced it. So there's the balancing weight from the factory.
Oh, look at that.
Epoxied that weight in.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now you can also see the weights that have been added inside the hub here. We've got 2 stick-on lead weights. And that's what it took to completely zero out this propeller. But one of the other things that's really cool is that they don't just build 3 blades and then throw it on a dynamic balance and balance it out. No, no. Each blade has to be similar enough kind of like if you're doing a blood transfusion. Each one's got to be similar enough to be able to make a set, whether it's a set of 2, 3, 4, 5 blades. So a lot of times if you break this blade, so let's say you had a prop strike and you need to replace this 156 serial number, they may have to build 4 or 5 different blades before they find a suitable blade to then continue to balance out and get the moment of inertia and everything perfect. So we're starting already with like for like blades, and then of course the less weight that you have, and I don't know if you felt the weight there, but
wow.
There's just no weight in the tips.
Yeah.
And so when you're dealing with something lighter, it's just not going to have, even if it's out of balance, you're not going to have the big vibrations that come with just a heavier mass propeller.
Now, what would be inside?
Great question. So this is what I call kind of a hybrid. This is solid carbon fiber back to about here. And then this is hollow in the back. So you've got the durability, and no way that this is going to like delaminate, which I've actually had some hollow propellers do on me, is they've actually, you know, they're old or whatever, but I've actually had them come apart at the seam. That can't happen because we're a solid carbon here, and then we don't have the weight because we're hollow in the back. And so I call it kind of a hybrid design. Works really, really well, durability and lightweight. One of the other things I really like that they've done is they've put the torque spec, which is 11 Newton meters for all of these bolts, on the hub. So that way, if you're in there doing a retorque, it's just right there for any mechanic's ability to check things out. And by the way, this recommended first pitch, this is based on the Van's RV12. This is not based on the propeller for, let's say, an Aeroproct. Aeroproct will maybe have a different propeller altogether, but if they do use the same prop, those pitches may be different. So this is very specific to this aircraft. All the testing was done on this aircraft. In fact, I recommend check out eprops.com. Take a look at some of the comparisons because they've got all the data. And one of the nice things too is you don't have to hold the back sides of any of these nuts. And so that is a really neat, I'll just kind of flip it over and show you there. They've got the, if you can see, those nuts are just setting in there kind of sandwich, so you don't need to try to get a wrench in there. And as anybody that's installed a propeller knows, once the blades are on, especially the more blades you have, the harder it is to get behind there. And so this just makes it really easy so you can address everything from the front side.
Have the same weight as what we currently have? Or?
This is going to be a lot lighter, so it may be something to reconsider as what this all-up weight is. So I'm going to move this to the grass right now. A lot of people asked on the last video, it's like, why didn't you build the prop on the table? Well, unless you have a 70-inch table in every direction, you're risking a very expensive propeller blade going off the table when you assemble this. So we're going to go ahead and carefully move this over to the grass. We're going to be able to assemble all the blades on the hub and then be able to assemble the propeller to the airplane. And that's another nice feature about this. Some of the propellers you have to kind of get the back of the hub on first, and then you have to have your friends hold prop blades up and get the face up so that everything doesn't fall apart. We'll be able to do this as a one-person setup because I can build the prop, I can install this on the airplane. I oriented this so that my red matches my red, and I've got red here, and I'll have red here, and this has my color coding. So let's do a yellow blade. So go ahead and put our yellow blade in, and then we'll go with the green. And last one's blue. Makes sense. Go ahead and place this here. And then I'm gonna just push this down. No, I'm literally not even having to bottom out these bolts. In fact, if I do, I'll wind up having to back these down. I'm obviously being very careful with electrical, but there's a lot of bolts and you want to speed up the process a little bit. We're just gonna hold everything in place right now. All right, and now we have a complete unit. I want you to feel that.
Wow.
That surprise you?
Very much so.
Yeah. It looks like there's no way it can be
It's
that
like
light.
7-8 pounds.
That's amazing.
Yeah. All right, easy. There we go. Super. Yep, so this is specifically designed, I believe, for the RV12, and that is a really nice way to clamp that pitot tube down. So a little bit different system than the vans right from the factory. This one's obviously aluminum versus the plastic, but this actually clamps. So once we've removed the safety wire, we can pull the hose off, and then this is actually threaded into the van's plastic block that we'll be replacing with the E-Prop CNC block. And so once the threading is out, that slides out like this. And so this pitot is going to get replaced with this pitot. All right, so we're gonna have to cut this guy down. Making a custom tool here. Cut down an Allen, make a little specialty wrench, because this bolt here, we just don't have a lot of room to work. And so if you would have seen, the old one was literally hitting here. Now we can just kind of come in here, put our Allen in, and we can and back this this bolt out slowly but surely. Kind of a pain in the neck with limited space here, but this will work. I'm starting to run out of space with this Allen wrench, and it just got loose enough to take off by hand.
Yay!
Yes, that is excellent. So take a look. Here is the new one. Here's the old one. Very different designs, but I have a feeling I'm going to like this a lot. So let's go ahead and get this installed. So we got a little bit of an interference issue right here at the bottom. We'll go ahead and just remove a little bit of material here so that we don't have anything touching or pressing. All right, so I've just snugged these two bolts down. I'll just use this to hold. We're just going to sand a little bit off the corner here. And if you built an RV12, then hopefully you're used to reworking a couple things. So this is just one more. So this is the reworked part, but basically, if you have a newer RV12 that doesn't have the fiberglass shrouding over the engine, this won't be a factor. If you have one of the older ones, you may need to just work this a little bit to clear that fiberglass shrouding, depending on how it's exactly located on your plane. So hopefully we've got clearance now.
Yeah, it looks a lot better now.
And again, this is labeled top and nose, so we want to make sure we don't put this in, you know, in a different orientation. And if you actually get down and stand right in front of it, you can actually see it and bring it in.
There it is.
Okay, now these drive lugs, these can come out. We're no longer going to need these drive lugs because of the design of the E-Prop's hub, which I'll show you right here. Just flip this guy over, and you'll see that's molded in carbon fiber, and that is going to replace the drive lug itself. And then I will very carefully bring this over. There she comes.
Glove.
Go ahead and let go of there. Hey,
Whoop, whoop.
how about that?
Extra bonus.
That's good.
Oh, nice and tight. And of course you can feel whether or not the head's spinning, and the head is not spinning at all right now. You just want to be nice and gentle as you seat that. There's like barely any force at all, and you can see we've got plenty of threads coming through. Same kind of thing here. You might have to help that bolt out to get them started. And now it's biting. There's the click. I'll go to the opposite side of that one. 180 off. There's the click. So now comes really the fun part, which is to pitch this propeller. So when they talk about the pitch setting, what they're talking about is hanging the protractor that's on the back side, that's the concave side of the propeller, at where the titanium leading edge starts. So we're going to hang our protractor on the back side. Now before we can do that, we need to zero out our protractor. So we're going to turn on our protractor here, get it level. And now when we talk about zeroing it out, we need to zero it out on the engine. And so you can really kind of pick anything that you want. Honestly, this guy right here would work. The top of the valve covers work. And now we're going to zero this. Very, very important that what you don't want to do, and it happens more often than not, I can't stress this enough, what'll happen is a lot of people like to zero it out on something like this, and that'll work to zero out the engine, but then you can't flip it 180 degrees. Whatever you're off, you're going to be off double in the wrong direction. So, and you can't do it this way. So just make sure however you zero out your protractor that you're zeroing it on something that is going to keep your orientation the same, so that we're not having to flip the hook from the front of the plane to the back of the plane. Now, equally as important, and that's why you have a little bubble gauge on top, is you're going to get different readings if you're in different locations. So you got to center your bubble. That's to get this blade at the same location every time for each blade that comes up. If you check one here and you check one here, you're going to be off. And what's important to note is that when you're done torquing everything down, you need to recheck all three blades and make sure they're within 0.3 of one another. So hopefully we're going to do better than that today. So the real trick to setting any of these ground adjustable props, in my opinion, is to have enough friction that there's no way with all your force, see that's too loose. You don't want to be able to move this blade by hand, because what'll happen is, sure, you can set it real easy, but then as soon as you start to tighten up the hub, it's going to just move. So we need to come in here, and I like to do it by hand. And we're going to snug these bolts down. We just feel that little bit of resistance there. Okay, and now we'll see if I can actually turn this bad boy. It's pretty stuck. And you don't want to get it to where when you use a mallet, it doesn't move and you have to really beat it. You want it to just move a little bit when you tap it. All right, so I'm at 1840, so I'm miles off as far as the pitch goes. Always remove the protractor, and then we're gonna tap it right here. And then we'll see where we're at. And this is an older style protractor, so I have to take off 2 degrees. So even though the instruction said 27, when I go to 25 on my protractor, that's like 27 on the protractor that comes with it. This particular protractor I'm using does go out to the 100th, whereas the protractor that comes with the kit goes to the 10th. So I'm just using something that set a whole lot of props in its day. And we're gonna go for 25 degrees. If you have to come back, make sure you don't hit your cowl. And then we'll bring that back down.
Make sure it's level.
Yeah, make sure it's level. We're at 2450. $24.70, and that's about how you want this thing moving. That moved the whole propeller, so I'm getting my bubble centered again. $24.90, so you can see how this is going here. And then try not to pass it up. $24.95. And sometimes that'll happen at $24.90. And we seem to be losing pitch here somehow.
You're going on the titanium instead of at the end.
No, we go on the titanium, so the hook goes on the titanium and lines up with the end of the titanium.
Oh, okay.
$24.95. $25. And it's really that easy. You just work it, and again, if this is too tight, I'd be whacking the heck out of it. If it's too loose, it might move into position, but then it's just going to move as soon as I go to tighten up the hub. So now, I'm not going to touch this propeller blade again. I'm going to literally use this prop blade to bring this around to do our second blade. I'm going to tighten up on each side of each blade.
Tighten it up how much? Just till it's really snug, or?
No, just more snug.
Okay.
And you know, if you don't have a good feel for torque, because I'm in no way torquing this, we'll get there with the torque wrench. You can use a torque wrench. So this is going to take 11 Newton meters. So you could start at 5 and go around until it clicks on 5, and then you can do 7. But again, if you're going to do a final torque and you have a pretty good feel with your hand, because what I want to do right now is I want to get this tight enough that the blades are not going anywhere, and I want to check the torque again, the pitch again. I want to check the pitch again without spending too much time on with a torque wrench. So if I can confirm that these all stayed at 25 degrees, then I will go ahead and come back with the torque wrench. But I'm just making sure that I'm less than 11 Newton meters so that I can torque it. If you go past, of course, you can compromise the bolt, and then your torque wrench is about useless. So just getting it snug, and I can tell you that right now these blades can take a good whack with that mallet and they're not going to move. And so ultimately, I just want to see where everything's at. So here goes the check. Now this is typical that they will have moved from this. So 2505, that's great. If it only moved 0.05, that is excellent, because we can go to 0.3 and that's still acceptable. This is 2505. So we got two blades identical. And 2505. Well, that never happens. I mean, that always happens every time I pitch a prop. No, really, if it's 0.1, 0.2 degrees off, you did a great job. So now we're going to go ahead and torque this. Right now, we're going to go up and we're going to fly this, and we're going to get a baseline and see if we need more RPM, less RPM, or if we nailed it. So I am just going to, right now, this is 11 Newton meters. And then we'll go ahead and we're going to start a star pattern on this. We're going to start at the center. Go here, and you can see just how much it's taking to get to 11 Newton meters. So my snugging down was nowhere near torquing this hub all the way. And if the bolts aren't moving, you can just start going in order, and that's the best way to make sure that you haven't missed one. If one does take a turn, then I'll go back opposite of it. But these are just verifying that they are torqued and they're done and nothing is happening. No telling if they moved again, which again can happen. Got 2505.
Making sure it's level.
2505. And 2495. So after the torque, we're 0.1 off, and that is a good pitch job.
Yeah, make sure it's level.
Yeah, we could come up just a hair maybe, but still 2495. So we're within you know, a tenth of a degree. Very happy with that. We just want to make sure that those guys are tight, and they are. But you know, never assume just because something came from a factory that's factory assembled never assume that all of them are tight or any of them are tight. Great. Yep, all those are nice and snug. We'll just go ahead and put this guy on, matching the red dot to the red dot. Look at that. We're gonna line these guys up. I'm just putting this on here so this doesn't fall off.
So you check the pitot tube, how far out it is. Now you're tightening it up?
Yeah, we just matched how much was coming out of the old one. And now we're snugging up the pitot holder bracket.
When it's on.
Just calibrate sets itself.
Forget to turn that down so you don't cut yourself later. Now we're at the stage where we can go ahead and get this spinner cone secure.
Hard. Not tapping.
Nice.
Come on up. How'd that shutdown feel?
Couldn't even tell like it was running. No
Startup
vibrations.
was a lot better.
Yeah.
A lot better.
No.
Nice.
So we are hitting 5,500 in straight and level.
Yep.
And 5,100 is all we're getting on climb up.
Yep.
Now, how did the climb rate compare?
506 with the old prop, 441 with the new prop.
So we lost climb, but we're way down on horsepower.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need to take pitch out for sure. Yeah, it didn't look like you climbed out quite steep like I was expecting.
We were probably what, 500-600 feet a minute. Average climbing
Yeah.
out.
No, this engine's got no horsepower at 5,100 RPM. So yeah, we definitely need to get that up. So
Oh, good though. Smooth. It's quiet. Very smooth. Fast. A lot faster. Yeah.
Nice.
okay, so yeah, let's talk about the cruise.
We did 5,300 RPM, and it was doing about 115 true airspeed. So it was clipping along.
And give us the comparison.
Prior numbers this morning, we were seeing 102 true. So we're seeing
Holy cow!
10 plus
So
knots, yeah.
That's a lot.
12 knot increase.
Yep.
But we gave up a little bit of climb performance.
Right.
So the question
Yep.
now
That
is,
might be
can we
backed
keep the
off
climb
just a hair.
and increase something?
Right.
Better climb, better cruise.
Yep.
But the experience in the cockpit is what I try to explain to people
It's
about.
unbelievable. Just it's quieter, it's smoother.
That shutdown was a lot better than the last shutdown.
Yeah.
Oh, that was really nice.
Yeah.
I really noticed it when you shut down. I was like, oh, that was nice.
Your gearbox thanks you.
Yes.
All right, so we just got done with our test flight. We had very, very good results. Gained over 10 knots of cruise speed, so these guys are ecstatic. Mentioned all the other things as far as how smooth it is, but they'd like to see if they can get a little bit more climb rate. They still they had timed the climb rate up to 5,000 feet, and it did improve by a little bit. I'll have to get that number
20
again.
seconds, if I remember.
20
it.
seconds improvement to 5,000 feet, so not a lot. And they just want to see if we take out a degree, if we can gain a little bit more in climb, and they understand we'll probably give up a little bit in cruise. But so that's what we're doing, is we're just going to take out 1 degree, and maybe we'll put it back. Who knows, but we'll give it a try. All right, so how did we do?
Much better. 5,300 RPM in the climb. Like I said, flew like a homesick angel. We were getting about 800, 900 feet per minute.
Nice.
The cruise is a little difficult just because it's so bumpy right now. But
Gotcha.
we're seeing 108, 110 kind of
Nice.
around there. So
Nice.
that's about 6 to 8 knots faster than what we saw with the stock prop. So
Gotcha, and the rate of climb is significantly noticeable.
as soon as we hit the takeoff power, it was much better, much faster.
And to summarize, the experience in flight is
Phenomenal, smooth, quiet, much quieter than the old prop. Definitely would do this and recommend this to anybody to make this change.
If you fly a fixed-wing, gyroplane, or trike, the odds are eProps makes a propeller for your aircraft. With a 6-month money-back guarantee, Try one for yourself and see the difference. Light is right.